Welcome. You're listening to TALRadio, powered by Touch a Life Foundation, and this is Foodology. I'm radio host Devansh, and on this show, I talk about the enormous world of a little word called food. If you are not familiar with the Trinity of the culinary world, it is ginger, garlic, and onion. Their presence in a dish can be easily overlooked, but their absence can make huge impacts. These are pretty simple ingredients, right? But they can have lasting impacts in any dish that they are used in. And calling them simple won't do them justice, because these three have shaped the world and societies. They are nearly indispensable from all cuisines of the world. Of course, their usage may be less or more in certain regions, but that does not change how understated and underrated this trinity is. In the last two episodes, I've talked about ginger and garlic, which are without doubt global sensations. Not only ginger and garlic have been used medically in the ancient times, but they have also become indispensable from all cuisines of the world. Today's episode is dedicated to onions. Whether you're a home cook or a professional chef, you would agree that onions are life. There is basically no recipe without onions. But why is that? Why are onions so popular, even when so many people complain about the oniony smell? In fact, onions are basically canvases in the world of food, because they can be used as a base on which other ingredients, meats, and vegetables can truly showcase their flavors. Onions grow very easily in all types of soil and nearly all temperature zones. And they can even survive in very cold climates. So they're like a perfect vegetable, whether humans simply love the taste of cooked onion cut. Whether humans simply love the taste of cooked onions, or that we have evolved ourselves to love it because we've used it continuously and it is the primary vegetable, so no one really knows why onions are so popular. Aside from that, they are amazing to store. A reason why we find onions all over the world is because they can be used and stored for a very long time without spoilage. As long as your onions are kept at room temperature, in a well-ventilated room, with cold, dark, and not very moist conditions, they will keep for a month before starting to soften. Onions are everywhere. Our planet would be a completely different place without them. The UN estimated that at least 175 countries produce onion as a crop, which is twice as many as the countries that grow wheat. It is the largest global crop cultivated by area harvested. And unlike wheat, the onion is a staple of every major cuisine. It is truly a global ingredient. Onions are a member of the lily family. In fact, onions are one of the oldest cultivated crops. The word onion was derived from the Middle English, union, which in turn came from the Latin word unio. This Latin word means one or unity and refers to the onion's single bulb consisting of concentric rings. Onions are also very versatile. They can be used in a variety of different dishes, from salads, soups, stews, sandwiches, burgers, wraps, and even desserts. Unlike the other members in the Trinity, onions are not very famous for their health benefits. Well, no one can point out why. Maybe because they are used so frequently that the amazing wonders it can do for your health are simply overlooked. To understand an ingredient, it is extremely important to know about the role it played in history and folklore. Where did it all begin? How did onions become the most popular vegetable on the planet? Onion, as a food, has occupied a noteworthy place in the history of humankind. According to old Christian myths, garlic grew from Satan's left footprints upon his first steps on earth, after being kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and onions grew from his right foot. Ancient societies believed that onions contained great magical properties that could ward off snakes and witches. According to one European belief, when an onion stuck with new pins and roasted would prick the heart of a straying lover and bring him back to the fold. Numerous folk cures use onions. A paste made of onion and honey was used to treat baldness. A roasted onion held against the ear relieved earache, and a tea of onions and wild lobelia was used as a cure for pneumonia. It is presumed that the ancient people started eating wild onions very long ago, even before farming and writing was invented. Some scientists believe that onion was first domesticated in Central Asia, and others believe that it was cultivated in Middle East around 5,500 years ago. Ancient civilizations that used onions soon became extremely dependent on them. Onions were easy to grow on any kind of soil, and they were easy to store, dry, preserve during winters. The basic abilities of onions also proved to be very useful to Egyptian, Babylonian, Indian, and ancient Chinese civilizations. Onions prevented thirst. They were a great source of energy, had very useful medical properties, and could easily be dried and preserved for the times when food was scarce. The ancient Egyptian society dwelled on onions, and they were the most common vegetable at that time, along with garlic. The laborers working on the pyramids gained their daily nutrition from munching on onions and garlic. This vegetable was also used heavily in ancient Greece, not only by physicians but also by soldiers and athletes who believed that onions would give them strength from gods. As time went on, the popularity of onions was on a constant rise. And when written records started being made, onions made their feature on many such documents, be it the Bible or ancient Roman or Greek texts. The Indian medical system in those times identified onions as one of the most important remedies for various heart, joint, digestion, and illnesses. It was the Romans who introduced the onion family to Europe. The Romans ate onions regularly and carried them on their journeys to their provinces in England and Germany. Europe experienced a dark age after the fall of the Roman Empire. And due to this, there was a heavy food shortage. And during such a period, people of Europe survived on beans, cabbage, and onions. Onions were used heavily as a food source and also as a medical treatment for a variety of diseases. It became a staple of Europe for that period. With the arrival of Renaissance and the new trade routes, onions were carried to all four corners of the world. The first pilgrims brought onions to the New World. However, they found that strains of wild onions already grew on the land. Native American Indians used wild onions in a variety of ways, eating them raw or cooked or as a seasoning. According to diaries of colonists, bulb onions were planted as soon as the pilgrim farmers could clear the land in 1648. During the Second World War, the Russian soldiers were so taken with onions' ability to prevent infection that they applied onions to battle wounds as an antiseptic. There are three basic groups of onions, all used to flavor dishes rather than being used as a main course themselves. The common onion is known only in cultivation and is the most important of the three types. This is the type of onion that we plant in our gardens in the spring. Green onions are simply plants of the species that are pulled before the bulb is well formed. The common onion is also able to produce seeds, which are primarily used for propagation. The remaining two groups of onions do not produce seeds and are normally vegetatively propagated. This group includes shallots and different types of onions that produce a cluster of bulbs. Red onions are very obvious from their rich red color. This color gets washed out during cooking, and their flavor is a little too astringent for eating raw. Red onions are best suited for both raw and cooked applications, such as grilling, roasting, braising, caramelizing, and pickling. Because of their texture, they are mainly used in sandwiches, layering in burgers, wraps, and paninis. These onions can also be chopped and tossed into leafy green salads, minced into salsa or guacamole, or pickled in red wine vinegar and layered on tacos, pizza, or even fried rice. Red onions can be grilled for a smoky flavor, and they pair well with eggs, avocados, olive oil, grilled meats, cheeses, vinegar, and tomatoes. Yellow onions. Yellow onions have a nice balance of astringency and sweetness in their flavor, and they become more sweet the longer they cook. They are usually of the size of a fist and have a fairly tougher texture on the outside. Spanish onions are the most popular kind of yellow onions that we find slightly sweet and more delicate in flavor. Nearly 90% of all the onions grown in the US are yellow. They are the perfect balance of sweetness and savoriness. Because of a high starch content in yellow onions, they do not dissolve or mush even after long cooking times, which make them great for an all-purpose cooking onion. Spring onions. Spring onions are onions which are harvested prematurely, before the formation of bulbs. And as the name suggests, they are super seasonal. Spring onions can be made the star of any dish. You can grill them, roast them, braise them, use them as toppings, or even as a main flavoring ingredient. Shallots. Shallots look like smaller, more elongated onions, and they have a papery skin on the outside. Just like garlic, they grow in clusters. They are quite versatile, having an oniony flavor without being too aggressive, and they are loved for their versatility. They can be finely chopped, stirred into a lemon vinaigrette, halved or roasted alongside chicken, pickled, and whatnot. Pearl onions. Pearl onion is a very small onion with a mild flavor and is often pickled or used as an appetizer. It is a co-star in the popular dish coq au vin and beef bourguignon. They're sweet and small, and they grow in close quarters. They come in red, yellow, and white varieties. They can be roasted, braised, pickled, or they can be used to crown a stunning tarte tatin. We all know how versatile onions can be, but how come most of us do not realize that this ingredient has a lot to offer when it comes to our health? We eat onions every day, directly or indirectly. So why not use them to improve our lives? Apart from making our taste buds tingle, onions play a major role in keeping our health in check. Did you know that onions can help in improving the health of our hearts? That's because onions are a rich source of flavonoids. These flavonoids help reduce the bad cholesterol in our body and keep the consistency of the blood right. Due to this, the risk of heart attack and strokes are reduced by many folds. Onions are a great anti-allergen. Eating onions can have a relaxing effect on the muscles of our lungs. This happens due to the presence of these flavonoids. Onions have the power to improve our eyes because they are rich in vitamin E. Vitamin E keeps the painful eye problems at bay. In fact, some natural eye drops also contains extracts of onion juice. Onions are packed with vitamin A, C, and K. These are all you need for flawless skin. These vitamins not just help you to get rid of pigmentation, but they can also protect you from harmful UV rays. The antioxidants present in onions can help you strengthen your immunity. Researchers have shown that onions' chemical composition is so strong that it can help in immune enhancement and also has anti-cancer properties. Onions are one of the most ancient food sources on the planet. Since the beginning of civilization, onions have been an important part of our diets. Once believed to be a very low vegetable because of its pungency, the onion has truly emerged as a favorite ingredient in many recipes. It is an important and indispensable ingredient and can be found in almost every kitchen around the world. It is one of those few vegetables which can be kept for long periods of time and they can safely withstand all sorts of conditions. This evolution of onion is truly phenomenal. Thank you so much for sticking around with me on this episode of Foodology. I had an incredible time talking to you. This is radio host Devansh signing off. Hope you have a beautiful and magical day ahead. See you soon.